Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, what I'm going to talk about is the police, more specifically, my run ins with the police. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy. You're probably thinking, okay, like what run-ins could you possibly have had with the police? Um, I'm not someone who's gotten into trouble, never been to jail, don't plan on going. Um, but I have unfortunately had my run-ins with the police. And I talked about this on my blog several years ago, but I figured I'd bring it back to the podcast for for content purposes. Also to give you a laugh or two. Um, I think for me, you know, let me first start by saying like I'm not anti-police. I'm not anti-police. I just haven't had a lot of great interactions with the police, right? Um my brother-in-law is a cop with APD, Atlanta Police Department. So I'm not anti-cop. What I want for him as well as any other police officer is to go to work, do their job and come home safely. It's imperative that he does his job safely and comes home to my three nieces and nephew. So his kids and my kids too. So because they love their uncle. Um, and of course, my wife loves her brother. So I'm not anti-police. Again, I've never had any. I've never had any positive uh, run-ins with the cops. So, I don't call cops pigs. I don't call them, names and stuff like that. But I just never had any positive um, interactions, if you will, with the cops. Um, I want to say like my first interaction with the police probably came. I was in high school. I was a senior. Yeah, I was a senior in high school at Wilson High School in Florence, South Carolina. And the story I'm about to tell you, statute of limitations have passed, so you can't get me for this. I'm not dry snitching on myself, but me and a couple of my teammates in high school, we played football. Uh, we we stole some road signs. I don't know why we stole the road signs. I can't tell you what we were thinking about in stealing the road signs, but we stole some road signs, right? So I just remember we went to this. We were on this dark road, and there was this road sign that said Florence County, which is where I lived, and there was another one that said Darlington County. And so we got up and we unscrewed the thing, took the road signs down, put them in the trunk, and peeled out. And we did that in about a couple minutes, right? Nobody saw us. And I wanted the Florence County sign, but my boy, he was like, "No, I got to get that one." So I got the Darlington County sign, even though I didn't live in Darlington County, which is the next county over. So we steal the signs and we decide, okay, hey, let's go to McDonald's. So we go to McDonald's, and that particular night we were probably about six deep in the car, right? And my mom always told me, she said, never, be in a car, more than two or three of your friends, because if so, you know, cops are gonna pull you over, right? And I was just like, whatever. But she was telling the truth. So this particular night, we're six deep. My boy, he had like a cutlass or something like that. and and this is what, 1990? Yeah, it's 1990. 1991, excuse me. And so we go to McDonald's or whatever, and where our town was, like where we went to McDonald's at was like, I guess in the middle part of town, if you will. Florence is not a big place. Uh and so we had to we were in like the middle of town, and we lived on the northern side of town, no, what we call North Florence. So we had to drive to North Florence. 5-10 minute drive. It's not a long drive at all. But here's the thing: when we left McDonald's, we were driving down the street, and a cop got behind us, right? And the dude who was driving was like, "Yo, don't turn around, stay cool." But the cops are behind us. So naturally, you want to panic, right? So you're thinking, okay, man, shit, the cops behind us. So at this point, I'm thinking, oh man, we about to, because keep in mind, we got road signs in the trunk. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to pull us over. They're going to search the car. We're going to jail. I'm going to lose, whatever recruiting that I had. Cause at the time I was looking at South Carolina State University, where I would end up going to school for college, and Hampton University. So I was down to my two schools, and I was just like, man, these schools not going to accept me if I get a, if I get a criminal record. So all of this, so my heart was racing, and this cop literally followed us for about 5 miles just to, he's just riding slow right behind us. At one point, he pulled up and pulled beside us, but he never did anything. He just followed us, and once we got to these tracks, would kind of separate the north side from the east side, I guess. Once we crossed the tracks, we were in North Florence, and he turned around. Interesting, to say the least. But that was my first time being profiled, racially profiled for DWB, driving while black. And I was about in my mind, I was about to do some time for some road signs. So, again, I've avoided police all my life. So, um, that was the first time. Um, I didn't really have any run-ins with cops or anything like that when I was in college. I remember seeing teammates get arrested for dumb shit, but me, nah, that wasn't my steez. That wasn't my get down. I don't kick it around 5-0. So when I moved to Atlanta, um, this was after graduation. I moved to Atlanta in 1997, July 1997, right? And so where I moved is very important, because I wasn't living in the city of Atlanta. I was living in a northern suburb. This place called Marietta. Marietta is probably about 15 minutes from downtown Atlanta, right? So me and my man Jay Fresh, we had a townhouse, and we lived in Marietta. And what's interesting was, at the time, as opposed to now, Marietta didn't have a lot of black people. In fact, uh, black people kind of came so few and far between in Marietta that if you saw a black person on the street, like if you pulled up at the curb and you saw a black person next to you, you might roll the window down and say, "What's up?" Honestly, it was just like that. I mean, so uh, we had it was different. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you know, you just kind of knew that you had to move a different way in Marietta. And Marietta is located in Cobb County. Uh, Cobb County is notorious for, their police being over aggressive and, pulling people over and stuff like that. And so one day I'm riding in my uh 19 was it like a 1995 Nissan Sentra, sitting on Dan Marino's. I'm riding my little black Nissan Sentra, and I'm on Cobb Parkway, right? I'll never forget it. And I'm riding, doing the speed limit. I see 50 sitting in the cut, and I'm like, just keep riding, just keep riding. So I ride, and I see him come. He pulls out, and then he lets me go down maybe about a half a mile. Woo! Throw the blue lights on. So he pulls me over. I don't know what he's pulling me over for, because again, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not in a flashy car. I'm in a Nissan Sentra. It ain't like I'm in a Benz. Um, and so he was like, "Yeah, I pulled you over." He was like, "I noticed that your license plates are from the state of South Carolina." He's like, "Can I see your driver's license and registration?" Okay, there you go. So I give him my driver's license and registration. Oh, your driver's license from South Carolina. Uh, Mr. 12 Kyle, what are you doing in Georgia? Trick question. Because here's the thing. At the time, you had to by law, if you were living in the state, you have like 30 days to switch over from whatever state you came from into the state of Georgia. Well, I had been there a couple months, and I had a South Carolina license, I had a South Carolina tags on my car. I ain't feel like it. Long story short, I ain't feel like it, right? So I hit him with the slickness. I said, well, I'm a student. I'm a student here at Georgia Tech. So I was like, it's my mom's car. You know, that's why I don't need to change my tags. Okay, okay. All right. Your story checks out, Mr. 12. Um, all right, you have a good night. So he lets me go on about my way, right? So 2 days later, riding down Cobb Parkway again. And I got a ride on Cobb Parkway because I'm going to work. On my way to work, woo, cop pulls me over. Hey, Mr. 12, can I see your driver's license and registration? I noticed that you have South Carolina tags. Um, Give my license. Oh, I see you have a South Carolina driver's license. Why? Do you live here, or what are you doing here? I'm a student at Georgia Tech, which was a lie because I was living there, and no way in hell I go to Georgia Tech anyway. But that's beside the point. Georgia Tech, I don't know why I should have said Morehouse, but anyway. Um, and so I give him the same spiel that I gave this guy before. Okay, he lets me go. 2 days later, get pulled over by the cop who pulled me over on the first day. Mr. 12, can I see your driver's license registration? Give him my stuff. What are you doing in Atlanta in Georgia? This motherfucker. So I explained to him and the whole nine again. He doesn't even remember. I mean, I guess because he pulled over so many black people, he probably forgot the story. But so yeah, 3 times in 1 week I get pulled over by Cobb County Police Department. Driving while black in a Nissan Sentra. What else? So like I said, I've had my share of run-ins. There was a time where this was maybe a couple of months after the first after those incidents, excuse me. Um, I'm from South Carolina, right? So I was going home to the crib to see my parents for the weekend. It was a Friday, and I think I took off work, and so I'm jump on I-20, Interstate 20, riding. I get outside of Atlanta, and I'd heard this saying before, and it's very true. Uh, and it goes like this: when you get outside of Atlanta, you're in Georgia. And that is so true because you realize very quickly that Atlanta and Georgia are two different places. Theoretically, they aren't, but you get what I'm saying. So when I got outside of Atlanta, I was in Georgia, and I might have been, I don't know, 30 miles outside of the city. And so I'm riding, and I had my New York Yankees hat on. But this particular day, I had my Yankees fitted on backwards, right? So I'm chilling, listening to music, headed to the crib. I see a cop. Cop is sitting in the cut, and when on the interstate, they have these trees and stuff, and the cops kind of sit in between the trees. They're on the overpasses, Sometimes they're sitting in between the trees. So I see them in between the trees, and I see cars ahead of me braking, hitting their brakes. So I'm doing 65. I ain't even tripping, right? Again, in my 1995 Nissan Sentra, sitting on Dan Marino's. And I'm driving, and I go past him, and I think nothing of it. And then probably about 10 seconds after I pass him, I see him pull out. So then here he comes. He's coming. And so everybody in the left lane starts getting over to the right lane, And so I get over too. And so he throws the lights on, and he's coming. And I see him coming out of my rearview mirror. And I'm like, okay, he's coming to get somebody. It ain't me. And so I get over, and then he comes up, and his car comes up, and he gets right behind me. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker here. So pulls me over, gets out. He said, how you doing, sir? I'm good. How are you? Do you know why I pulled you over? No. Well, I noticed that your hat was on backwards. Huh? He said, I noticed that your hat was on backwards. And and so he proceeds to tell me that my hat was on backwards and I look familiar. I mean, did I look like a famous rapper? Did I look like a athlete? Did I look like a doctor? Did I look like Doogie Howser? I don't know. So he asked me, said, would you mind getting out of the car? Okay. Well, what do you want me to get out of the car for? He said, well, I with your permission, I'd like to search the car. He said, because, we've had, a lot of people coming back and forth between Georgia and Texas, um, smuggling drugs and stuff. He's like, do you have any guns or, drugs on you? I said, no, if I had a gun, I would let you know. I said, well, no, I don't have a gun. And at this point in time, I know that my civil rights are being violated, but honestly, I was in a good mood. I know that I had done nothing wrong. My stress level at this point was on 100, but I had to play it cool. I had to play it cool, like I wasn't being phased by this whole shenanigans. So I actually get out the car, and there we are standing on I-20 on the side, and I pop the trunk. He's looking in the trunk, can't find nothing, looks under the seat. Okay, Mr. 12, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I just had to check, because you had your hat on backwards and you look familiar. So I just wanted to check you. You're free to go. You can't make this shit up, man. You can't. And I went on my way. I was pissed off, but what can you do? DWB. What other interaction I had? Oh, there was the one interaction that I had when I had an expired license. Now, this actually was a pretty good one. Now, what happened was, again, I still, for the longest time, I didn't have a Georgia license. I had a South Carolina license, and my birthday came and went, and honestly, it slipped my mind. I forgot to renew my license back in South Carolina. I wasn't going back to South Carolina to do it, and we didn't really have at that time. You couldn't do anything online because online was like non-existent as opposed to how things are now. So the license actually expired because I think after 30 days or something after your birthday, like shit just expires. But I wasn't a resident of South Carolina, so I don't even know if they mailed or emailed. Well, they wouldn't have emailed because email was slow back then. I don't know if they even had an address to send it to, unless they sent it to like my mom's address or whatever. So anyway, so the license is suspended, unbeknownst to me, because I'm here in Georgia. And one day I'm just driving down the street, and a cop comes out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere, black cop pulls me over, and how you doing, Mr. 12? Blah blah blah. I see you have South Carolina plates. Can I see your driver's license registration? And I'm like, okay, here. So I give it to him. So he comes back. So I'm still playing it cool because I don't know that nothing's wrong. Uh, Mr. 12, did you know that this driver's license is suspended? Huh? What'd you talk about, Willis? Suspended? How? And he was like, you mind stepping out of the car? And when he said, do you mind stepping out of the car? I knew at that moment I was about to get locked up. And I said, wait. I said, well, I'm confused. Can you explain that to me? What happened? I don't understand. It's like, sir, your driver's license is suspended in the state of South Carolina. Can you step out the car? And I was like, wait a minute. Can we have a conversation about this? Because this is new. I've never heard this before. I have no idea what you're talking about. And so he starts talking to me. And at this point, like I'm like, Lord, if he could just talk to me and I could just talk to him, I could kick the Willy Bobo and maybe avoid going to, because at this point I had never ever had my license suspended anywhere. So I didn't know that I could even be arrested for this. And so I was just like, so he said, I tell you what, Mr. 12, I'm going to give you a citation. You got to pay this fine. You got to go and do this and do that, and you got to make sure that your license is reinstated. Blah 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 blah. And so, but at this point, I could no longer have a South Carolina license. I had to get a Georgia license, right? Which is no problem. But to get a Georgia license, I had to I had to actually take a test. A written test to, at this point I've been driving 10 years at least. And so what was interesting was like, I remember going to take the driving test. When I took the written test, like you had to get like a 70 or better to pass the test. I got like a 75. I barely passed it. And it's not that I don't know how to, it's just like some of the rules and stuff of the road, you don't really think about because, you do them every day. So you don't know what's what. So, but yeah, that cop was cool. He was real cool because he really could have taken me in. Um, and he realized that I didn't know that my license was suspended, but I think the fine was like $200 and I had to take a course and it was some bullshit, but I managed to get out of that. Oh, last story. Uh Man, I'll never forget this. Um Racial profiling at its worst. I was same year, that was 97. Yeah, 97. Um like fall of 97. Um I was working for, no, I take that back. That was this fall of 98. I was working for this company called Bell South. And at Bell South, what I was doing was we were doing sales and marketing for their telephone products and stuff. This is when Bell South came out with the cordless phone with the caller ID on it. Like that was big shit. Or the caller ID box. That was big shit. So anyway, so me and two other people, we were assigned the Southeast region. And what we would do is we go to colleges and universities, just market and promote and sell, um, some of these Bell South products, right? So one of our assignments was we had to go to New Orleans, the Big Easy, you know. And prior to that, I'd never been to New Orleans. And so, um, they gave us the option, like we had this huge setup and everything. So like one person had to drive the U-Haul truck where all the stuff was stored, and then the other person could drive like their car. So I drove my car from Atlanta to New Orleans, about a 7-hour drive, right? And again, first time being in New Orleans, you know, just enjoyed it. And that for this particular assignment, we went to like I went different schools, and we went to University of New Orleans. We went to Southern University in Baton Rouge because I think we spent like a week in Louisiana. We went to University of New Orleans, Dillard University, and I mean, it was dope. It was really, 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 really dope. So, um, but when you're in New Orleans, where you gonna go? You're supposed to go to Bourbon Street, right? So we go to Bourbon Street. So I'm hanging with my coworker. My coworker is a guy named Jack. Can't remember Jack's last name, but if I ever found Jack, it'd be cool. White guy, real cool, down to earth, just mad cool. Um, so me and Jack, we're hanging out, and we're in New Orleans. We were staying in the French Quarter, and I had driven my '97 Nissan Sentra, sitting on Dan Marino's. I drove the Sentra down there, whatever like that. So we um we spent one. I think we spent like 2 nights in the French Quarter, and then like before we were supposed to go to Southern, we had to move to another hotel, which was out in like Slidell. I think Slidell's probably like 10-15 minutes from New Orleans. Um, so we were in Slidell at the time. And so we was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go to Bourbon Street tonight. So we went to Bourbon Street, right? So we go to Bourbon Street, and because I was driving and I was from out of town, I wasn't gonna drink, right? So Jack was like, he's gonna get a couple of drinks. So he got a Hurricane and some other crazy shit. And so we're walking down Bourbon Street, and if you've ever been to New Orleans is a beautiful city. It's crazy, how things have been, the infrastructure of the city. But I mean, it's a great city. It's a great party town. I mean, they know how to party. We all know this, right? And so this is my first time in New Orleans, right? So we're walking down Bourbon Street, and literally any and everything that you could think of happens on Bourbon Street, from alcoholism to prostitutes to, you got a shoe show, where whatever you want in New Orleans, you can get it in New Orleans, right? So night's getting late. Me and Jack like, all right, man, we need to shut it down. We're gonna leave Bourbon Street. So we leave Bourbon Street. I park like maybe 3 blocks over. So I parked car, we got out, got back in the car, headed back to the hotel. And I remember Jack saying, Jack was like, he was like, man, he's like, hey man, we need to stop, man. I need to scratch my foot. And he's like, man, my foot is itching really, really bad. And so he's scratching his foot or whatever like that. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, so we get to my car, and we pull out, and we made a left, and then we made another left. And the second left, before we made the second left, we were sitting at a light, and there was a car next to us, and behind that car was a cop car. And I saw the cop car. I mean, we weren't doing nothing. And Jack, was messing with his foot. And we were talking about the night we had and everything. So we just is we had a great night. And it was my first time on Bourbon Street, first time in New Orleans, and I had a ball, right? And so we made the second left, and we're headed toward the interstate. And next thing I mean, like out of nowhere, blue lights. Woo, 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 woo. I'm like, what did I do this time? I was sitting at the light, and it wasn't like I was texting and driving because we had no cell phones, right? So we get pulled over. I pull over, and officer says, "Get out of the car." What? I mean, and it wasn't no, "Can I see your driver's license registration?" It was, "Get out of the car." So I'm like, okay. And at this point, I don't see the officer. I just hear him bark the instructions. And so I was like, Jack, let's get out. And Jack was like, man, dude, what the fuck's going on, dude? Man, what's happening? I was like, Jack, chill, chill. And so we get out the car, and he said, "What are you guys doing?" And he was like, "I don't know." And he said, "You know what? Get out of the car, put your hands on the hood of the car." And so me and Jack were standing there, and we had our hands on the hood of the car. Now the car is still running, and At this point, I look over like my shoulder just a little bit, and this dude has his gun drawn. Hmm, this is interesting. So I'm dumbfounded. And I said, "Officer, is there a problem? Don't say anything. Where's your driver's license and registration?" I was like, "Well, here's my driver's license." I said, "Can I give you my driver's license?" So I went, he's like, "Yeah, give me your driver's license." He said, "Move slow." So I give him my wallet, give my driver's license. I said, "The registration's there." So he looks at it. What are you doing here in Louisiana? I was like, "Well, we work for Bell South and we came down for work and we were just at Bourbon Street and we were headed home." "Well, why was your friend trying to hide? What was he hiding when we pulled up next to him?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And Jack was like, he's like, "I was tying my shoe." He's like, "Man, my foot's been itching." He's like, "We've been walking all." Jack, Jack started because we're walking all fucking night. My foot is itching. I had to scratch my foot. He's like, look, my shoes are still untied," and Jack's shoes still were untied. And so by this time, another cop comes up. Um, Black cop. The white cop pulled us over. Black cop comes up. And man, the black cop, oh my gosh, this dude, he starts showing out. So he's like, "What's going on here?" And so the guy was telling me, he's like, "We got these two guys." He's like, "They're from out of town and blah 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 blah." And so he was like, "Search the car." So the black dude starts searching the car. Ain't ask her they searched the car, no nothing. So in the back, I had my trunk, I had a typewriter. "Well, what is this right here?" I was like, "It's a typewriter." And so the white officer's like, "Hey, just be cool." He's like, "We just needed this routine check, blah blah blah." And so then the black cop walks up, and Jack says something, and he was like, "You know what? You better shut up before I put some lead in your ass." He's like, "And I'll tell everybody that you tried to run away." Word? This can't be happening. So Jack is blown. I'm willing to bet, and we were probably 23, 24 at the time. I'm willing to bet Jack probably never been pulled over by the police before ever in his life. And so now you got this cop talking shit to him and he's getting pulled over and he don't know why. So he's really being treated like he's black by the cops and he just don't understand why. And basically, what they saw two young men, a black man and a white man, kicking it, and they figured that some drug shit had to be going down, right? So the funny thing was I had right before I left for that trip, I had to wash clothes, and I had the little fabric softener things, the little fabric softener sheets that you put into your when you're washing clothes. Well, I think I had mine in the back seat. It fell up under the seat, and so it was up under my driver's seat. And so the black cop goes up under. He's looking and looking. He goes up under the seat. "What is this? What is this?" And I was like, "It's fabric softener." I was like, "I washed my clothes right before I came on this trip." "Well, sometimes people put drugs in this kind of stuff. Did you put drugs in here?" "No, sir, I didn't." So the white guy was like, Just relax, just relax." And keep in mind that our hands are still on the hood and this car's getting hot, right? And so our hands, and Jack was like, "Hey, can I take my hands off the hood?" He's like, "Man, this is fucking burning my hands." I'm like, "Jack, don't say nothing, man." And so the black cop said, "Hey, you shut up before I shoot you." And I'm like, "Jack, don't say nothing, man. Just chill, man. Just put your hands near the hood." I mean, like, and so the white cop was like, "Oh, yeah, you can take your hands off the hood. You can take your hands off the hood." So they search up under the car. They search, I mean, he was looking all up under the tires, and I'm like, I'm not smuggling drugs. I mean, if you want to be honest, you could walk 4 blocks to Bourbon Street and you could find whatever kind of crime that you wanted to find on that particular street. And you sitting here harassing two law-abiding citizens. And So we're standing there as dude watches. He's looking and stuff, and he doesn't find anything, obviously. And so the white officer says, all right, guys, we're sorry for the inconvenience. You're free to go." And Jack says, "So is this how you treat people from out of town?" I said, "Jack, come on, man." So man, we got us, we just jumped in the car, and it happened so fast that it almost felt like a movie, and I really couldn't believe the gravity of everything that happened. It really didn't hit me until the next day. And I just remember the drive to Slidell. Like I said, the Slidell might have been 10, 15 miles away, I guess. Man, I really didn't do much talking. Jack was just like beside it. He's like, "Kyle, man, we just can't. We can't. We got to get their badge numbers. We got to report them, man. This is ridiculous, man. We pay taxes, and we're down here as tourists, and is this how they treat tourists?" I mean, like, Jack was hot. He was talking about calling the mayor. he was Jack was trying to do all kind of stuff. And, you know, I just told him, I was like, "Jack, that's how it is, man." I was like, "I'm used to it." I said, it's sad, but that's the cops. And Jack, "Man, fuck that, Kyle. No, we're not gonna take this. We're not gonna take this. I'm not gonna let you let this slide. We're not fuck that. We're not letting it slide." God bless Jack. Jack was, I mean, he was high. He literally talked. He was fuming all the way back to Slidell. So we got back hotel. I just crashed, and I just remembered like waking up the next day, and I really couldn't believe. I think the bigger thing was not so much as getting pulled over, but when the cop made the threat, like, "I will shoot you and tell people that you tried to run away." Bro, I was like, "Come on, man. Come on, really?" And it left a bad taste in my mouth, obviously. And to be honest, it left a bad taste in my mouth about New Orleans. And for a long time, I was like, "Man, fuck New Orleans. I'm never going back. Never. I'll never set foot in that city." And to be honest, I haven't. Um, I have softened my stance on it because I don't think I can blame. I don't think I should blame New Orleans for two rogue ass cops. And what was wild was they let us go, and we kind of sat there for a second, and they pulled off before we pulled off, and then there was some. We were supposed to be going this way up the street, like north up the street, and then coming back south, there was a car of like five Mexican guys. They hit the lights, did a U-turn, and pulled them over. So I'm like, "Bruh, come on, man. Like, that's ridiculous." I mean, like, you just, at this point, you're looking for people to mess with. Um, I wondered about those cops. I wondered about those cops, how they were and who they were. I remember the names and stuff at the time and the badge numbers and stuff because we did get that information, but I wasn't going to file a charge or anything like that. It was just, I didn't think it would do anything. And I had people tell me after I told that story, "This, man, you should do this and you should do that. And I know this person. I know." It just wasn't worth it to me. And I wondered about those cops, particularly when Hurricane Katrina hit, because I know that they had a lot of cops that, you know, dealt with a lot of anguish, and some, committed suicide. And I thought about those cops. And, I think a lot of the animosity and stuff went away after a period of time. But yeah, for a long time, man, I was like, it had nothing to do with the Saints, but I was just like, "Man, fuck New Orleans. I'm not," and I'm cool. And trust me, everybody that I know from New Orleans, cool as hell, cool as hell. Shout out to Ty and Vernell. Those are my boys right there. And I don't know no bad people from New Orleans. Everybody that I know from New Orleans is cool as hell. But nah. And like I said, I at the time I made a vow that I would never go back. But if given the opportunity, I'd go back. I'd go back and check it out. I'd even go to Bourbon Street. Um, but yeah, me and the police, we haven't really had great run-ins. And that's why, sometimes when some of these cases happen, the George Floyds and Fernando Castillas and all of these people, Breonna Taylor. Um, those things are triggering to me because it reminds me of the situations that I've had, and I makes me wonder what happened or what could have gone wrong, with some of the situations that I had. And that's, again, it's not to say that they're all cops are bad cops. I'm sure that they're great cops. I'm pretty sure my brother-in-law is a great cop. Um, Ultimately, they have a job to do. Their job is to serve and protect. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again on this podcast. They are hired to protect us. That being said, they should not be able to walk scot free when they kill us in cold blood. That should never happen. But that's another podcast for a whole nother day. But I like I said, I've had some funny situations. I've had some interesting situations. No, not really a lot of positive ones. And to be honest, I think I've reached my quota on run-ins with cops. So if they don't bother me, I won't bother them. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time.